Across the world and across the universe, again, it's time, whatever your time zone, for Type 40's Live Doctor Who Talk. And if it's your first time here, yes, we're the best channel that you'd never heard of. I am Dan Hadley, your regular Type 40 pilot, Birmingham's king of the geeks. And this is Rosie, the house Dalek, here to keep an eye on my toxic masculinity and make sure my drinks are well refilled. How are we this afternoon? How are things? Good. What's that? Oh, yeah, well, she'll be fine. Who have we got with us so far? Yes, Doctor Who Talk again. No big concept this week. Wow. Last time was a bit of a monster, wasn't it? We talked the 12 faces of Doctor Who. All of us, a big panel all together, and lots of people in the chat. Thank you for a brilliant afternoon and your patience, the investment of your time, the views on that. It's doing really, really well. Now, that's some lovely messages come back, which is even better. And you've come back for more. So it couldn't have been that bad. Who have we got in the chat? Let's see who's checked in here, Rosie. We have, hey all, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. How are you? And we've got Chris Persia. Good afternoon, the Spacebook. Good afternoon to you too, Chris. Can't be afternoon for you too, can it? Really? And who else? Morning, Dan. Morning, Lord Thoth. Lord and Master. And Chris is just making himself a brew. And greetings from TV Century 21. Hello, Stephen. How are you? And we've got Rebecca. God, it's funny enough. Funny Rebecca should be here because Rebecca's, what would you call it? Her handler. He's with us too. He's on the bench. He's about to come in. We've got, we've got Vanessa. She's here and lots of other people. Lots of familiar faces and people watching in Facebook too. Streaming directly to Facebook as well as to YouTube. More Doctor Who Talk this afternoon. Oh, yes. And let's bring him on. It's time. Rebecca Gold's very own Ian David Diaz back in the Type 40 again. Hello, mate. How are we?
I'm all right. How you doing?
That's it. Buzz yourself in. If I'm taking too long, just buzz yourself in. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. We're going to be talking Doctor Who stuff today.
Are we ever? Yeah, you recovered from last week from the 12 faces, from our voyage through all of Doctor Who. That was a blast.
That was interesting, right? That was very interesting what people picked and stuff. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's good.
I've had people get in touch with their own picks, and I think we've got quite a lot of selections of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn those into a little video, into a Type over 40 or something. We'll put those up on the screen for people to see, and we can chat through a few of those. But it was very, very sporting. Thank you all. Hi, Disaster Area. How are you? And we have Emsy Leanne. Hi, Emsy.
Hello.
And that's a new name. I don't remember seeing Emsy here before, but the more the merrier. The more the merrier, yeah. And we have got somebody back with us this afternoon. The last time he was in, we were talking about the woman who fell to earth, weren't we? All things Jodie Whittaker. We transported him back to 2018, and he was so traumatized by it. We haven't seen him for 2 months.
yeah, he was.
He's here now. So yes, welcome back, Barnaby.
Hello, guys. How you all doing?
Oh, absolutely wonderful. Apart from this bloody big kid here, what do you think of him?
This is a serious show, Ian. Come on.
Oh, okay. Serious, mate. There you
go. Yes. Well, yes. Let's talk toys, shall we? How have you been, Barnaby? And have you any new toys in the last couple of weeks? Have you bought yourself anything nice and geeky?
Oh yes, I have actually. A model of Peter Davison's TARDIS, which is good for this particular costume I'm wearing, and
I've noticed. You come as a different Doctor every time I see you, don't you?
I've got too many Doctor Who costumes actually upstairs. I've cosplayed as him numerous times. I think if I'm invited back on again, I'll bring up the my Tom Baker one. I was putting together for the conventions that never happened. So I've got that one ready and waiting. But
I've been after one of those Peter Davison TARDISes, but the B&M shop by me, the closest one. The last wave of those figures, Ian O'Brien, if you're watching, who should I complain to about this? The last time they had a wave of figures in, they got them all floor to ceiling. And all the Daleks, they sold. But of course, they were left with what you could call a overwhelming surplus of one particular set.
I wonder which one.
What if anybody in the chat can guess which one that was? Because they were left with so many of yes, it was Yaz and Ryan. They were left with so many of them. They're still trying to shift those, and they haven't bothered getting that lovely Peter Davison one in, or any other unit one, all the lovely stuff that I'm seeing up and down the country. So I may end up having to go to another branch. There are others, but yeah, so I'm right jealous, but it looks beautiful. That's very much my era of Doctor Who, Ian. We've got, I think Emsy Leanne is, that's Emma. Of course, it's Emma Horsfall. You're just changing your name just to keep us on our toes, yeah? I don't blame you. I think we do need it. There's problem being called. That Barnaby is a cutie. Barnaby's going down well.
Thank you,
down boy.
And yes, Avon lives. So that's
Avon.
Yeah.
Good man.
I was waiting for you,
my friend. Hi there. Who's this?
Don't know.
B&M did the dirty on the south. Did the dirty on the south. That can't possibly be as filthy as it sounds with the October wave, Dan. Did they really? So they all went. They put them all to the top end of the country. Is that it? That's what you're saying.
Well, the new one that came out, they released, which I was desperate to get a hold of, was the an Ace and Imperial Dalek figure. I can't find them anywhere, not even on eBay. They've just all been taken up, and I assume because the last one I saw was probably one from Australia. But I think with the post as it is right now, I don't think I'll be ordering from there.
They've been taken up. You mean they're so popular that the little people have come down from other worlds and they've bought them all?
It's got to be the only
explanation. The little green people. I think it could be. There we go, Stephen. We've got your answer. It's the little green men. They've come and nicked all the Doctor Who figures. And yes, what is it going to behave yourself? Problem being, you should always behave himself. I've been telling you that for months.
He's a problem, all right.
Yeah. So Doctor Who, Barnaby, Doctor Who appreciation, as always, proves to be somewhat of a choppy game. So whilst we don't labour too much on this show on the current goings on with Doctor Who, because A, because there's not a great deal of it, and B, what there is a little bit miserable. But last week there was a degree of in inverted commas excitement for some of the fan base when we had this image thrown out onto social media. I don't know if you caught it.
Yeah.
Calm your jets, gentlemen. I know you're
stupid logo.
With excitement here.
Stupid logo.
Doctor Who returned filming on the 2nd of November. So we're reliably informed by the Lord and Master, who we deeply revere, of course, Mr. Chris Chibnall. And yes, because there've been lots of speculation over the previous weeks, and we finally got it the middle of last week. Doctor Who was entering production again, but it did come with some news that a lot of people weren't. Well, some were happy about it, some were strangely happy about it, others quite nonplussed. And I do see why. But yes, the general news is, well, I've got a quote here from Chris Chibnall. We're going to read that out now. And where is it? Yes, there it is. In this strangest of years, the Doctor Who production team have worked wonders to get the show back into production, he explained. Given the complexity of making Doctor Who, and with new and rigorous COVID working protocols, it's going to take us a little longer to film each episode.
So what's the excuse for last time then, eh?
Meaning we expect to end up with 8 episodes rather than the usual 11. You see how vague this is? We expect, we may, but we may not, end up with 8 episodes rather than the usual 11. So he's playing it quite cagey there and continues. But rest assured, the ambition. Yeah, I think I missed that. The ambition, humour.
Humour,
apparently. Fun. Okay, he's got the wrong show. Is Chris Chibnall running 2 shows?
He's talking about Only Fools and Horses, isn't he?
I'm getting very confused. It's so early in the show. We'll all still be firmly in place for everyone around the world. This is a challenging period, but the Doctor never shirks from a challenge unless you're a close friend who's coming to her.
Cancer.
I'm afraid. Yes, so that was Chris Chibnall. And this was the news that he gave. He gave this exclusively to the Mirror, and it sent ripples through fandom, because obviously, no matter how you feel about current Doctor Who, in all seriousness, the fact that it is filming or isn't, or maybe on the way, or what the long-term future for Doctor Who may be, of course, we're generally speaking interested. We may not watch it, but we're interested. And yes, Matt Strevens then chipped in with this perler. We are so thrilled to have unlocked the TARDIS, dusted down the Sonic, and be able to start filming again for the next series of Doctor Who. The amazing production team, crew, and cast have all worked wonders to get us shooting again in these challenging times. It's going to be as fun-filled and action-packed as ever. Just let that sink in.
No, it's not.
Plenty of surprises. Yes, the pregnant man, he may be in it again. I think that's what he means by that. But yes, thanks for that one, Matt.
You never know. You never know. It may be better.
Never know. Your luck might catch up with
you.
I'm
not watching it. I'm not watching it.
He may have had a few by now. Yes. So one hand, we got some quotes there at least, and that was given directly to the Mirror. I don't know if you saw that, Barnaby. They've got
quality
a bit of a
newspaper, the Mirror. Yeah, if you're going to put something out, put it in the Mirror.
Oh yeah, totally.
But the Mirror, they really ran with it, and they printed a lot of extra bits, lots of speculation, and they'd concluded with that they added, I should say, that those episodes would screen in the autumn of 2021. But as you've just seen, neither Strevens nor Chibnall said a bleeding word about any of that. But people do like to sort of add on what they don't know, and I find it very interesting that we may not end up with those amount of episodes. But yes, the thing is, though, guys, and well, everybody was sort of blown away by this. They were blown away, as you can see.
Wow.
Positively.
Absolutely. From EastEnders or something.
Absolutely thrilled.
Adventures in time and space.
Yes,
in your living room.
Yeah. Yes. So the excitement, it sort of reached a peak. It was at that level for minutes while that all sank in. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this was no surprise to a lot of us, Barnaby. I don't know how you felt about it, because here it had all worn us down. It's very clear what the landscape is at the present. And we called this back in April. We'd been hearing rumours, and I say that loosely. We do hear things, and we've been hearing rumours that the episode number had been cut for Series 13, that they were drastically looking at the show in the short term, and all this did was confirm, really. But we were also surprised that Chris Chibnall put it down to COVID restrictions when we first started hearing about these things. The first lockdown about this cut down to 8. Not 7, not 6, not 9, down to 8. So it's a hell of a coincidence. Had these rumours reached you, Ian or Barnaby?
No, I didn't hear any of these rumors, but that's like with promotion about the show anyway. I mean, I remember when Jodie Whittaker first came on, the promotion was almost non-existent as it was for the other Doctors, and I was really surprised about this. Yeah. And I almost feel with better sort of promotion and things like that, people would be getting more excited about it, but they weren't. So I think just like hearing rumors is the only way we kind of get any sort of news now. So it's confusing. I didn't hear anything about that.
But usually about this time, don't they have a trailer out?
Yeah, usually.
And, everybody gets really excited and stuff, and nothing from her really.
And there are people on Twitter saying, of course there isn't a trailer yet, but no, 6 weeks before an episode drops, because yes, in around 6 weeks' time, brace yourselves, everybody. The great Mr. Chibnall is due to pinch off another link of his Doctor Who, probably on New Year's Day. So that's the next chunk we're going to get.
Not on Christmas Day?
If you can contain yourselves. Talking about being able to contain yourself, I'm about to bring in one of our friends is just about to beam in. Not Christmas Day. Well, that's it. The strong rumour is now that it will be on New Year's Day after all. So maybe they've managed to film something else. Actually, that could be it. They've managed to film some new Vicar of Dibley's. I think Richard Curtis has come to the rescue with Vicar of Dibley's, but maybe JT has heard something about that. Good afternoon, mate.
Good afternoon. Oh, hello, everybody.
I love your T-shirt.
That's where all the character options things have gone. You've got them. You swept down into the south.
Hello, Barnaby. It's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, JT.
And greetings from Scotland. How is everybody today? What have I heard about? What have I heard about?
Oh, I can't. I was talking the usual load of old bollocks, you know. Well, we were talking about the episode cut from 11 episodes now down to 8, and how Mr. Chibnall is sort of hedging his bets there. We've got a quote from him. It was not as nailed down as people seem to think it is, and how people are sort of adding on to that,
Right.
Because there's no mention in there about it being on in autumn 2021, but people are sort of assuming that it is. I think it's going to take much longer, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was January 2022.
Well, it's 8 episodes too many.
I don't think we can really argue with that.
I mean, that is it. Why did they bother? I mean, the restrictions must be very intense for them. Nobody really cares. You've got just under 3 million people in the United Kingdom watching the show. Why didn't they just let it go? I am so disappointed that they're churning out. And I guarantee you it's down to contractual issues. Wouldn't you agree, Ian? You know, there must be something to do with that.
I think they if they do stop it, then basically that'll be egg on their face, because they've been pushing this Doctor Who agenda thing so much, haven't they? And if it fails big time, then there'll be egg on their face, and they just don't want to give up on it, you know. And plus, obviously, the BBC has that horrible agenda running through all their shows now. Then they're not going to stop.
Well, they won't, because I agree, and it would show that they were wrong. And part of them, as we discussed before, are never going to say they were wrong. But I'm really not interested, as everybody on the Spacebooker, all the Spacebookers will know. I'm not interested. I'm not going to be tuning in. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, it's 8 episodes too many, and I would have taken the opportunity to fire the lot of them.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. And to be honest, I mean, it's an open again. I was on Twitter yesterday, and people were saying, "Oh no, I hear that Tosin, Cole, and Bradley Walsh may not be in Series 13." No, they're not. We've known that for months too. Bradley Walsh has got another job. He's the new Pop Larkin on Darling Buds.
That's right.
Tosin Cole's off in the States making a HBO show. He's been seen filming it. He's tweeting it. He's showing us pictures from. So yes, they're not back. As far as I'm aware, the only people contractually involved in this are Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill, and I can't really see that their contract's going to last for that much longer. Talking about this, like the future, like this, it's clear that, I mean, we have got people who watch our videos and who are members of our Facebook group who are looking forward to this, and that's why I continue to cover it, the general sort of shape of the short term and long term future of Doctor Who. But yes, I feel pretty much the same as you two guys about it. The action figures, the merchandise, the audio dramas, all that sort of thing, that more than makes up for anything else that I'm not getting. But I wonder,
Sarah, but Dan, I'm not happy with that either. I'm not happy that we have to settle for second best. Let's face it, right? The audio dramas are okay, but it's not a TV episode of Doctor Who.
No,
Let's face it. I'm so upset that we have to settle for second best because of this stupid guy named Chinballs and this stupid rhetoric that's going through the BBC, destroying our shows. I'm just fed up with it all. And I said to everyone that I know, the best thing you can do is not watch this and not talk about it. Here I am talking about it, though.
The problem you have with merchandise as well is that we all know the merchandise has slumped because the main show, the parent body of the show, is not popular anymore. You've got merchandise freaks like myself who are not buying the merchandise. It's a shame. It's a real shame, but that's the effect this era has had.
Yeah. And for those of us who cherry pick what we fancy, like myself, like Barnaby with his 5th Doctor TARDIS, you know, we're still cherry picking.
I like his TARDIS.
I've said, you know, if you want a 5th Doctor TARDIS, I can pop down to my B&M. They've got a few in there, because the only one that isn't selling is the Companions of the 13th Doctor.
There we go. Surprise, up and down the country. I may end up taking you up on that. We've got Stephen back here. He says, yes, Dan, the Southern Warehouse wasn't ready, so they reallocated it all to the north. Oh, this is starting to make sense. As to Barnaby, we think the Coal Hill School and Witches Familiar sets are due in the UK from the 23rd. That's very kind of you, Stephen.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't see any kind of like dates about that, so that's good.
Yeah. They are due around about that. They haven't been into B&M stores yet. They are due for that Christmas period.
Oh, brilliant!
And they're exclusive to the B&M stores.
Oh, they'll sell out in a day, though, so I'll grab them off eBay probably.
Yeah. Do you know what? Right, this is no joke. I have a friend that used to be a Doctor Who fan, and he has kids, and they brought a couple of figures of Jodie, And bonfire night, they burnt her. They burnt her in the garden. Yeah, and this is a true story. I'm not making this up.
And they've probably given it to charity or something.
The kids were so upset because they didn't like the episodes and he didn't like the episodes. And
the kids
and when he said to her, when he said to his kids, let's put something on the fire, they brought out the Jodie toy, and they without him saying, "What are you doing?" They just threw it in. So this is a true story. I'm not making it up.
I did see something similar last year on Guy Fawkes Night, where the larger one of the current incumbent was strapped to lots of fireworks and shot off.
They called that the adventure figure, didn't they? We've got a message here, actually. I think this is for you, JT. Hail Scotland and the Celtic Fringe.
That's right, Derek, by the way.
And we have, Ian speaks much truth here. So, yes, that's all right. And we've got a message for Rosie here from Chris. Rosie says, to exterminate the like button and make it turn blue. Yes, please like the video.
Yeah.
We've got lots of people watching. Please like the video if you've stayed this long.
What was that?
Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. In a moment, absolutely obsessed. Throw the companions out and keep the TARDIS. I do love the 13th Doctor's TARDIS. I was talking to my brother the other day. Now,
the inside or the outside, Dan?
Oh, he means the outside. He means the outside. You mean the outside, don't you, Lord Thoth? You mean the outside, don't you?
You can't go wrong with the police box, but you can go wrong with the interior.
Definitely.
Terribly wrong.
It looks like the set of Dancing on Ice, doesn't it, Barnaby? Have you ever seen that?
It just looks like
it's very
shit.
Yeah. It's mostly like ice sculptures, like all over the place, and I'm kind of like, I was a huge fan of Capaldi's TARDIS. I mean, that was
I liked
beautiful.
it. Yes,
I just wanted like I would pause certain images and just watch it, and it was just it's so well designed, and it just seems now just to be like it all sort of looks the same, and that's very sad.
But you know, Barnaby, I don't understand this whole thing of when a new showrunner comes in onto Doctor Who, they have to rechange the whole look of the thing. I mean, you know, JNT kept that set going for years in the original series.
I mean, I do like the different versions of the TARDIS, though. I like Bacaldi's one.
So
I think Bacaldi's one was one of the best ones. There's the first one that Matt was involved with. I hated with a passion. That stupid orange and typewriter and all that rubbish. I hated it.
Didn't work. It didn't work for the simple reason, as a director, it must have been a nightmare. But they Julie Gardner, when they brought it back, had this thing about you've got to be able to get from the front door of the TARDIS to the console within a certain amount of time, and they forgot that. They brought it back for the Smith Capaldi version because they suddenly realized when they were filming in that Smith version, oh my God, it's run from that door.
Really quickly, yes.
I think we have the problem being back here. The TARDIS interior is best described by Gary as a dead upturned space crab with a glowing erection that goes up. Yes, I mean, we did note that when they put some additions on it last time, and we've had Jodie McWilliams here. Hi, Jodie. The new interior looks like the Mind Flay from Stranger Things.
The Mind Flare from Stranger Things. Yeah. It does. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Except Stranger Things is done properly.
Exactly.
Hello, Jodie.
They even went. Did you notice that actually, Jodie? They went to the Upside Down as well in the last season.
Yeah, they should have stayed there. That's all I say.
And I'm going to Derek furtherly adds the new TARDIS interior reminds me of a mastabing spider.
Listen, we're going to have to be careful. You're going to have to put a warning on here, kids, in case the kids watch.
Yes, that could be my fault. I may have to drop. Yes, I'll drop the censor on that later on. Yes, So it's not gone down that well, but it does remind me of a game show, the Eurovision Song Contest or something like that. I've never been that keen. But I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was saying how, isn't it a shame, how the least exciting thing about Doctor Who at the moment, he's a casual fan. What's the least exciting thing about Doctor Who at the moment is the TV show. That has become the least vital component of it. And it was all based on this image. Now, JT, I know you're not a big fan, but this image came out last week, middle of last week, and I saw so much excitement about it. This is the clean artwork here for Master.
Yes.
Which will star Eric Roberts and Chase Masterson there.
I always dress for the occasion.
Roberts
what?
reprising his role as the Master from the TV movie here, with Chase Masterson playing a character she's played before in the Doctor Who audios, and this obviously picks up the story. I think they take the baton kind of directly from the TV movie, with his master being brought back to life, resuscitated, resurrected, or whatever. It looks tremendous fun. And this is Simon Hollub's Hollub. Hi Simon. Hope I'm not slaughtering your name, but this is his clean artwork for it, which he tweeted out. A great digital artist.
It's great art.
This was very, very warmly received. As with a lot of Big Finish stuff, it just feels epic. It pushes all the right buttons, all the fan buttons, and makes you go, wow. Now, some of us are bigger fans of Big Finish than others, the content or whatever. But as regards marketing, there's an argument to say that Big Finish have kind of flooded the market, JT, and I think you'll probably agree with that. But they do know how to put a press release together. They do know how to drop. How could you
be happy with this?
I
don't understand.
How to drop a fan's jaw. They know how to do that.
This is audio. This is audio. Look at the poster.
Yeah, but it's a big part of Doctor Who.
Wouldn't that be fantastic if that was an episode? If that was a series?
That's what I'm saying.
That we can see. Why do we have to sell for this second? This is like, for me. Okay, I know there's loads of fans that like Big Finish.
It's a massive market for Doctor Who.
It makes me feel depressed because this is not an episode. I can't see Eric Roberts. I can't see that sexy woman.
And that's what my brother.
I can't.
That's what my brother was saying. He said, "Look, if only this was on the TV.
Yeah.
If only, because he's a casual fan." And he does buy some items of merchandise, but cherry picks, but he doesn't listen to audio drama simply because he hasn't got the time. But he's saying, if only they would do this for the TV,
exactly.
JT.
Or like redo some of the old Big Finish ones on TV as well. I mean, probably some of my favorite episodes have been Big Finish episodes, Doctor Who ones, like the Chimes of Midnight or Jubilee. Amazing stories. And so
Jubilee
really
has
for a long. Yes, well, not the same kind. It was written by Robert Sherman, and he did Dalek. But for a long time, I mean, I don't mind having the Big Finish audio and just diving into that, because they are the best stories, and they always have been really good stories. And I think it's just me. I'm just happy with that.
Oh, I love them. I love them too. But I've always loved audio drama. I found a lot of sites. I've told this story a few times. Finding Douglas Adams' original Hitchhiker's radio shows on the radio. I think it was on Radio 4 when I was a child, on my little sort of mono cassette player radio thing, and pressing the buttons down to record them. At the time when I think it was around the time that Colin Baker was the Doctor, there was hardly any sci-fi on British TV. So to find some on the radio was just a massive boon for me. And Doctor Who, long before Big Finish took the Doctor Who license, my love of audio, Doctor Who and sci-fi generally, really sort of stayed with me. But you can see how more casual fans though, they would look at that. And the question that we see a lot, JT, this is in the Type 40 group as well, is sort of a more muted version of what Arian's just said there. And people will say, or people will message me, or they will put in the comment section, is this on TV? When's that on? You have to say no. And every time I go through the same speech, no, that's for audio. That's an audio drama. Sorry about that.
Bless.
And so, but the mediocrity of the TV show and the lack of event status and the ability to make you go, wow, that's the biggest crying shame of it all. Derek says, Dan has a brother. Perhaps he will turn to the dark side.
You know what? Seriously, though, years have gone by, right? Since we've really liked Doctor Who, we've been battered, we've been kicked, we've been spat on from the people that the people that make Doctor Who. We deserve better as fans. Look. All right, you must love the audio stuff, but I'm sorry, right? I'm a visual person. I want to see visual stuff. We deserve that as fans. We've been so loyal. We've been so loyal.
JT, Barnaby, Ian, we deserve it. I deserve it. And Charlotte Shields, she definitely deserves it. Welcome to Type 40 Live, Charlotte.
Hello.
Good to see you. How
Hi,
are you?
Charlotte.
Have you heard us all moaning here? What do you think about all
Not
this?
moaning.
I've just come back from taking the dog out. So what are we moaning about?
Haven't been generally, even if you don't listen to Big Finish, the way that they promote their new releases, like that new Master one with Eric Roberts, makes you go, wow, and makes you sort of frustrated that stuff's not on TV. Ian's immensely frustrated by that. That creative energy is not being put into the TV show, and that sense of occasion and great artwork and all those things that used to sort of make your blood boil.
I don't know if it is with Big Finish because they've not got as much control over them that they just go, do you know what's a crazy idea? Let's just get Eric Masters back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because obviously the show has got the BBC controlling it and basically having to approve everything. I don't know because Big Finish, they do have the license and they obviously do have to follow some stuff because of the links, but it comes across to me that the Big Finish lot just sort of go, what have we not done yet? What can we do with this Doctor? Like Shadow that's coming out, that's just come out. Let's put the Fifth Doctor in the Time War. Like they just seem to have...
That makes no. Poor JT. Yeah, I agree with you, JT. I've been told about that release, and some of the stories sound quite clever. We had Kenny Smith from Vortex Magazine on the podcast, and he sold me on it. But I still, as a Fifth Doctor man, Barnaby, the Fifth Doctor in the Time War, are you buying that?
I've always been one of the people who sort of believes in, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. I'm not so huge about lore and what kind of like fits in because it's all so contrasting. There's been so much lore contrasting all over the entire shop. I mean, and that's true in the Big Finish as well. And as long as it's a good story and as long as they somewhat explain it later on, fine. I would actually be really happy. You know what? I just love Peter Davison's acting anyway, and his voice. Anyway, so seeing him just get more and more Doctor Who stuff, I'd be like, I'm on board.
I just like to say, right? I listened to and look, I don't know what it was called, but it was an episode where all 5 were there. Okay, and you had Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy. I can't remember Colin Baker. It was a Big Finish thing, and I was listening to
the light at the end. I think that was the light
and they were all like,
that was for that 50th.
Yeah, so they're all talking and they're going, oh, another Doctor and stuff like that. But I was listening to it very carefully. I wanted to enjoy it, but there was something about it that I could not enjoy. I was thinking to myself, this sounds not. It doesn't sound like Doctor Who. It just feels like they just shoved these people in, and it just didn't feel. Because I'm a visual man, it just doesn't. I cannot connect to the audio stuff at all.
Doctor Who does work on audio, though, doesn't it, JT?
Oh God, Doctor Who
generally works on audio.
It does work on audio. If it's like everything, if you want to like Big Finish or Big Fanish as I call it, go and like it. Do you know what? When Big Fanish appeared in 1999, I was there. I bought the Sirens of Time. I'm looking over at the other side of the room. I do have an amount of them. As soon as you're going to put a disclaimer up, Dan, about this show, because we've had 2 naughty words, yes. Big Fanish is pure fan wank. And if that's what you want, fantastic. Go ahead and do it. Because you know what? I got to a certain point where I was listening to these things. I mean, I liked Spectre of Lanumore. I liked the Marianne conspiracy. I liked the Apocalypse element, even though that was pure continuity driven. There were all. I like Spare Parts, which has since been adapted for television. There were certain things I do like about
the first 50 releases were very much.
Up to Zagreus,
they were amazing.
It went down. But do you know what was original? They were original. They were original. They were in the content. They were, in those days in 1999 when they started, you got 3-4 a year, and then they got greedy and started to churn. And when you get to a point where you're actually writing stories based around making it fit in with continuity of a television series that's 26 years old. Oh, come on. I know we were talking the other week there, and I kept my mouth shut about the new War Doctor. Oh, please. You've got the fifth Doctor going to the Time War. Why? Eric Roberts looks fantastic there, but I'm not excited. I'm not excited that he's come back to Doctor Who since 1996. The marketing doesn't get me because I understand they are a business. They are there to make money. And they must be making, I don't think they'll be making as much as people think they are. And I do believe that Big Finish is bigger in America than it is in the United Kingdom. But, I think, I don't know, I'm with Ian. I want a Doctor Who television show that I can buy into. If the TV show is not what I'm buying into, then I won't buy into its spin-offs.
Yeah, no, I'm with you,
I
JT.
won't buy into any of its licenses. And you've got to remember, I don't care for this word canon at all. If you want to make a canon out of all this stuff and try and fit all the big finishes in, fine. But I certainly don't, because then you'd have to go back to Doctor Who Weekly, Doctor Who Monthly, Doctor Who Magazine. Why aren't you including the comic strips, which are far superior to a lot of the stuff we've had over the last 30 years?
I have to agree.
The Virgin novels, the BBC novel, it gets too much.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not excited about that, Dan, at all when it comes to Eric Roberts. Good for him for taking the work. I think he looks fantastic. I don't know who that woman is that you put on there. What's her name? Chase
Sexy,
Masterson.
though.
She played Lita. She played Lita, didn't she, Barnaby, in Deep Space Nine?
She did, yes. Brilliant actress.
Oh, God, that's going back a bit, isn't it? Crikey. I haven't seen that for years. When was that? The 90s?
90s.
Yeah, 90s to the early noughties, I think, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the 90s. I was anyway.
I think the problem is with Big Finish, because I'm sort of getting into it now, and the reason I got into it was because I was just so upset and fed up with the show. Basically, I was like, I didn't want to not listen or watch Doctor Who anymore. So I heard about Big Finish. I'd heard a few people say, well, have a go at one and see what you think sort of approach. And I listened to the free stuff on Spotify, and I think it's really clever that they've done that, because you can just have a listen even if you don't want to pay.
It's business.
Oh, no, but that's the thing. I would say they know business, but they know the fans. Like, I understand sometimes they take the mick a bit, and I know recently some people have been saying they're sort of pushing their luck a bit. But I do think at the core, they'll know what sort of things fans will get at least interested in over the show that doesn't have a
you see, I find that very interesting
right now.
I find that interesting, Charlotte, and I would respectfully disagree. I think they just churn as much out to try and get as many fans interested. I mean, I saw something a while back, which is something called Centaurian.
Oh yeah, the Rory thing.
Oh, come on, get a life. You know,
I can definitely
the song and everything, all this Time War stuff, Time War Master, Time War War Doctor, Time War Carrot, Time War Parsnip, whatever you want to be.
I agree.
There's a point where you shouldn't saturate your market, and if they're aiming at fans, they're not aiming at fans, because they're missing an awful lot of people, because not all of us buy the thing, and they are expensive. If you're in the United Kingdom right now, what are they, 13, 14, 99 a month? I don't know. It's not for me, but if you like them, good for you.
I think you can have too much of any good thing. Not for Daniel Leach, though, when it comes to Chase Masterson. Chase Masterson is my new wife, says Daniel. Congratulations. I'll talk to you later. Well done. Say about that. Yeah.
Martha will be very upset, Daniel. She'd be very upset with you.
He skipped. He's dropped one for the other. We talk about saturating the market. This last few months, the BBC and all of their licensees, which the ones that are actually left, all their licensees have been pooling together on a publishing initiative, haven't they, called Time Lord Victorious? Yeah. Another question. One of the questions that I've been asked the most in 2020, apart from "Is your mic on?" It's what on earth is Time Lord Victorious, Barnaby?
Who cares?
Barnaby, we haven't had you on the show for a couple of months. Are you aware of Time Lord Victorious? Have you bought any of it? And do you understand it? I think I do, but I'll just run it past you because you're a younger man with a fresher mind. To let us know what your take on Time Lord Victorious is.
I know nothing about it. There's just too much in there. One thing I do quite appreciate, and actually, when Waters of Mars came out, it was my favorite thing I'd seen in Tennant for a long time. I loved Waters of Mars, particularly the ending. It was one of the darkest things I think have been in Doctor Who for a long, long time. With the her killing with his companion killing herself at the end. I'm just watching this going like, oh my God, that's crazy. And then the next episode came along, and it was completely like forgotten. They didn't even mention it ever again. And so, from my understanding, Time Lord Victorious is involving Waters of Mars, and also expands more upon that. So I was happy about that. Actually, if you look into back on my internet history when I was 19, I wrote quite an annoying article about it on YouTube comments saying, why would Doctor Who not be unhappy that his companion killed himself? He just comes out of the TARDIS with that cowboy hat on. I was a different man back then.
You had a point though.
So if they're expanding upon that, I mean, JT, I love fan wank, and I'm a huge nostalgia junkie. So when it comes down to them like talking about like, Time Lord Victorious and like going more into that, I'm happy about it. So I may give it a look and see how it goes. But there's just so much of it already. Time Lord Victorious over comics, audiobooks, animated movies. There's just so much of it, and I just don't know where to start.
There is a market for it, and obviously, if you're selling licensed material and an expanded universe, then there's no reason why you shouldn't lean into that. But I agree with you, JT, that I do miss the purest storytelling of those first 4-5 years worth of Big Finish, where you could pick them up and put them down, and they were like anything. They were easily of the quality, the production quality you would find on Radio 4, and any one of those in any order could have been put on broadcast radio, and people would have been fine with it.
Well, they have been, haven't they, Dan? They have been. They put Chimes of Midnight on, and a couple of others have made it to BBC Radio 4 as part of the talking between Big Finish and the BBC. So that's great. I'd love to know who listened to it. But is there a market for Time Lord not as victorious as they wanted it to be?
I think there was and is a market for fans to be whipped up into a frenzy, Charlotte. Swept away by marketing, because we all love to be. Well, I do anyway. I won't speak for you, Charlotte, or any of you. I like to be seduced by that kind of thing. I work in marketing in the media. I love a good campaign. I can get swept up in it, and most of the time now I can keep it in perspective. Most of the time, but I appreciate a good campaign, and a decent idea. I think the seeds of a good idea are very much with what Barnaby was talking about. And the initial idea and the initiative behind it is fine. And there's this massive gap where there wasn't going to be any Doctor Who on TV, where merchandise has virtually evaporated, and a lot of those licensees have fallen away. I can see them thinking, okay, there's a gap in the market. Let's not be churlish about it. We need to make some money off this brand, and fast, because it is dying. So I view it as 3
years of not making any.
Yeah, so to me, it seems like the equivalent of International Rescue coming in with Thunderbird 2 and dropping 3 of their green pods, carrying all these different things. But the fact is, sad to say, they have managed to bugger it all up somehow. I don't think. Obviously, last week the whole beer bug thing has interfered and meant that some of the releases, like the vinyl edition of one of the releases, can't get to the Asda stores. All these things. So lots of it has not come out in the order in which they originally intended, which has sadly sort of but the confusion that Barnaby spoke about, I think that has been what's torpedoed Time Lord Victoria, Charlotte, is that it's not connecting, is it? Do you think it's confusion, brand confusion?
No, I think the problem is this is so many intricate moving parts, and the premise is something that casuals would know, like Barnaby referenced to the Water of Mars. We all sort of said, oh, isn't it brilliant when Tennant goes dark? And they've just honed in on that, which is good. Yeah. But I just think, and I think this in general, I don't like it when the show sort of, because it's not doing well on telly, it sort of reverts to using outside media to explain a story, whether that's canon issues or just a general story. Because people like me, I'm not a merchandise person. I don't buy a lot of it. I watch the show. I'm just starting getting to Big Finish, but I don't really count that as being into merchandise, weirdly. And for people like me, most of this is just going to go whoosh straight over the head, because I don't collect comics. I don't buy figures. I'm not one of those fans. And the problem is the premise is for casuals, I think, a little bit.
I don't think this thing was for casuals. This thing was aimed purely at the fans. From my point of view, as somebody who has invested over the years in merchandise, I saw it straight away as just a pure cash grab, which was
it was.
And that's the thing. I think it's a little bit cheeky as well that after being told in 2017 and 2018, we don't want you lot anymore. Thanks very much for all your life experience and investment in the show, but bugger off, because we want a brand new audience. And that brand new audience, as with the BBC, doesn't exist. They've now come back to say, oh, here's one of the more popular Doctors, and we've got this whole big story. It doesn't wash for me. So I don't think the market is there for it. And I think we're going to be seeing that because, I don't think the sales will be that good. It'd be interesting to see anything that's gone out of it.
I think little bits will sell well. I don't think the overall thing will sell well.
It would depend what it is.
Regularly.
It would, but I reckon if you look at what's going to sell well, it's going to be the stuff that sells well anyway. So it's going to be vinyl, because the vinyl is huge right now. They do Demon Records do really well with the vinyl. Your Big Finish will be your usual amount of people taking it. I don't think they'll increase sales. And if anybody from Big Finish wants to come on and have a chat about that, I'd be very happy to discuss it. You know, all that sort of stuff. I can't see the re-release of the DVDs on Blu-ray. That thing that Dan was pointing out the other week. I can't see that.
Yeah, apparently that's charted at quite high, but it is only the first
huge.
week of it is only the first week of release. We've seen that Blu-ray set they've put out, Barnaby, of various different stories on Blu-ray. Like I think Genesis of the Daleks is in there. There's some weird ones like Curse of Fenric, but it's all stuff that's been out on Blu-ray before.
I'll tell my housemate that because he's got all of them, all of the Blu-ray and boxes, and they're going now for like on eBay, on Amazon, like for like hundreds and hundreds of pounds, because they sell out so quickly. I think the Blu-rays are really, really popular.
But the Blu-rays there are the special edition collection box sets. This one's the Time Lord Victorious link, which they've taken certain stories that suggest it's part of this overall arc. It's too ambitious for. And listen, Dan, going back to your point there of they haven't been able to get certain things out because of a pandemic. That should have been factored in when they realised in March that this pandemic was going. They've had plenty of time to get that sorted. I mean, if you look at the K9 Megabytes book that we covered a couple of weeks ago, that's gone to print in a pandemic between the United Kingdom and Europe.
Yes,
so that's
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's been a massive success, hasn't it? I've seen that Bob and Paul over at K9 Official, the presses are rolling on this, and so people are going to get their books. And yet again, Paul, Bob, absolutely thrilled for you and thrilled for K9, and we hope that this is just the beginning of whatever's to come. This was a good post, I thought. At this point, Doctor Who is like someone squeezing a lemon, and there's no juice coming out of it. Yeah. It's just desperate. I think, I think that perception, even though the public don't invest in this stuff, I think the general public, when they cast an eye on some of this stuff, the way that Ian does, I think they're doing what now? As well as why isn't that on the telly? It's like, what? Isn't this all a bit desperate? David Tennant, he was in it years ago.
Do you know what, guys? Right? Yeah. If we wasn't introduced to the Jodie Doctor and this era never existed, and we were at this moment in time with the pandemic, do you know what the BBC would be doing? They'd be doing reruns of the Doctors right now. Probably and the only reason why they're not doing reruns of the Doctors right now is because they're ashamed that the Doctor is male. That's the reason why. And white. So, that's it. But the point I'm trying to make is, right, why should I put up with that? As a fan for so many years, since I was 7, why should I put up this nonsense? Why should I take seconds? Big Finish, I call them seconds because they're not, as far as I'm concerned, Doctor Who on TV, which is where Doctor Who belongs. Why should I accept that? Why should I accept this show that's literally told me I'm a racist and a bigot and against females? Why should I accept any of this nonsense? That's the reason why I'm not going to be watching. And this is the reason why I listen. I tell you, I listened to a couple of episodes of Big Finish. I'm sorry, I cannot anymore.
Yeah, it's not for Ian. It's not for. It is, and it's not for everyone, Ian. I mean, as I say, what people today don't realise, and no disrespect, Barnaby, but this will be you guys, is that when Big Finish launched in 1999, there was no Doctor Who on television, and there hadn't been one-off episode in 96. And of course, a lot of us went, wow, and they did start with The Sands of Time, which had Peter Cullen and Sylve in it. It was an okay 4-parter. It was okay. But it was also affordable in a sense as well, because back then you did only have 3 or 4 in a year, and the stories were brand new. They were original. But what has happened, it's mutated into this thing where, surely, I mean, if anybody out there is managing to buy every single release,
I know people who do. There are several people as part of the Facebook group, and God bless them. I mean, in awe of how they managed to do that. I managed to keep up with it for a long time, but I just couldn't manage it. And
good for them. But how are you affording your rent?
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? When I was listening to Big Finish, that episode I was talking about with all the doctors talking, the thing that really put me off it, the thing that I couldn't actually connect to it, was when I heard Tom Baker's voice and when I heard Colin Baker's voice. their voices are not the same as when they were young and sprightly. Their voices, they sound like their age.
Your imagination, that little...
Yes, yeah.
What took me out, it took me out of it. And I was like, oh, it's Tom, but it's not Tom. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing, you know?
We're starting to cover the Big Finish stuff on the podcast a lot more because we do get asked about it, and I really, really enjoy it. We've recently had Kenny on. He'll be coming back on again to help us cherry pick our way through, because there is, I think by their own admission, they put out a lot of stuff. So Kenny is helping us, guiding us through their release schedule over the next few months. I need a life guide, Charlotte. Let me tell you, let alone an audio guide. So, on the opening episode of season 3 of the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast, which I'm going to keep on plugging, it's a big review of not just the Out of Time release with Tom Baker and David Tennant together, but a general talk about multi-Doctor stories. And Tom Baker. It's a bit of a love fest for Tom Baker with Starry-Eyed Girl, who everybody adores. Myself, no, not so many people adore. And this guy, Simon Horton, I think he's absolutely wonderful. He's one of my best friends in all the world. Hello, mate. Good to see you.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Simon.
Sorry, I'm a bit late. All sorts of things cropping up at the last minute, etc., etc.
Something BBC about you, Simon. I don't know what it is.
Nice to be here, everybody. Can I chip in about Big Finish? Because I've just been listening to all of this, and it's been fascinating to listen to.
No, you can't.
Okay, then. And interesting, I agree certainly with Ian that this is an ongoing problem with Big Finish. That you're quite right. Tom doesn't sound like Tom very often, and bless him. But we still love him, and I could listen to him forever. But one of the things that I really feel with Big Finish, and I'm nervous to sort of say this, because I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but the problem is, that for me, with Big Finish, they all sound, and Dan and I have spoken about this before on podcasts, they all sound like they're recorded in a studio.
Yes.
Because they're recorded in a studio.
Yes. Yes.
But I have a problem with this. And again, as Dan and I was saying, I pointed out recently, if you listen to Genesis of the Daleks, the LP that we had from 1977, 78, and it was all we had. Yeah. Now, if you listen to that, it doesn't sound like it was recorded in a studio. Because it wasn't recorded in a studio. And there's a crucial difference here.
Yes.
And I just wish Big Finish would stop trying to make radio drama.
Yeah. And make drama.
Make the leap and start making what sounds like something that was recorded on location or in a television studio. And we just happen, thank you, Dan.
Dan's got it.
And that we just happen to be listening to something that was recorded visually, but all we can hear is the audio, because all I'm hearing is people standing there with their script.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's amazing. Love it.
Simon, I agree totally with you. And I remember I was in Dominic Glynn, who did the music for Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. He's a good friend of mine
as well.
Yes, he's a good friend of mine. And I was in the studio when he was helping out with Blake Seven, and he played me a bit of it. And they literally sounded like they were doing a radio play. Oh, let's go over there. What? You know what I mean? You're like, what? You're not talking normally. Just bloody do drama.
The worst.
I'm so bored of hearing characters say, "Oh, look at that robot trudging towards us." Which one? You mean the one with lights flashing on the top of it? Yes, I'd seen that too. I'm like, stop it. Yeah. We didn't need this. We didn't need this.
I think the worst of all drama.
The Daleks. We didn't need it. No, you don't need to be spoon-fed. We get it. And just
God bless you, Simon. It's
a very sensitive edit. It's a very sensitive edit that they performed on this, wasn't it? Because this came out on not just on vinyl. Like I've got this on vinyl about 3 times. I got the reissue. But I've got the cassette as well. But they nipped and they tucked, didn't they, Simon? Was there any narration on this one?
There is narration. Tom Baker does narrate it. So I get that there is a difference there between what they do on Big Finish and what they did in Genesis. But to me, again, personally, I would rather hear something like Genesis. That, okay, if you've got to throw in the odd bit of narration, fine, throw in a bit of narration rather than saying, look at that gigantic spaceship that's just appeared above our heads, Doctor.
Do you mean the blue one?
That one. The brilliant thing about both Genesis and the Pescatons is that it's Tom in character. And of course, with Genesis, because it was a 6-parter, he reads the bit they've had to edit out when it comes to the original TV soundtrack. They've tried it more recently with City of Death, with Lala doing it. Good, but not as successful. But then that might be because I grew up and listened to Genesis of the Daleks on a record player every night when I was 6 years old. It could be to that, but and they are very much of their time, and I think they're special because of that, especially Genesis and the Pescatons, which is now available in every sort of format you want it to be. I think I've got it about 16 million times over there in different formats. But yeah, I mean, it shows you the difference in what you can do, basically.
I just think as well. I mean, I said to Dan recently, I said, why don't they just go out into the Big Finish car park and record an audio in the Big Finish car park, so it at least sounds like it's not in a studio that's the size of a cupboard.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd do that. It would be a nightmare for Mr. Sound Person, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
If anybody does, sound engineer, we know a few people who are sound engineers. So yes, if, problem being, how would you do that? Problem being, anybody else who works in audio, let us know what you think.
I mean, Vanessa's asking the question, how do they do that, Sam? They answer it really, really simply. They record in a room instead of in a studio. It just genuinely isn't rocket science.
It's easy to do, though. It's easy to do. Basically, you need the dialogue to be outside, but everything else could be added within the mixer or the studio.
Or as I say, in a room. If you think of how many dramas are made on location in a real house, in rooms. That's it. They just take the sound equipment into the room and they record it in the room. It has the ambience of that room. So that's what you do. It's not rocket science. It is really, really simple to do. Or you go and record in the car park outside when you're doing exterior. Maybe I'm just probably making it sound really, really simplistic, and I get that. I'm not a sound engineer. But all I'm saying is I think Big Finish writes some cracking stories, and it's often, for me, let down with some of the production values that just sound like they're recorded in a broom cupboard.
We have to remember though as well
that they should animate.
What?
Sorry, Charlotte. No. Sorry, Charlotte. What was that?
No, I think some of the Eighth Doctor stuff and some of the stuff that isn't so canon, like you guys are talking about, that is more you can pick up and listen without knowing 10 ton of what's gone before or after. I think they should have a go at doing some animations like of Big Finish.
They have. It's on the DVD.
See what reaction.
It's on the DVDs and it's crap.
Which ones have they animated on the DVDs?
Oh, I can't remember offhand, but they have had a hand in certain animations.
They did.
The latest one was Fury, wasn't it? But it's not very good. The one that looks like Scooby Doo. It's not very good. I wouldn't tune into that either.
Barnaby?
Oh no, they've done something time. It was with Colin Baker in a blue.
Real time.
No, animation. That was an original. I'm talking about the DVDs, the animations of the Lost Stories. Big Finish have had.
I thought you were talking about animations of Big Finish.
No, I'm not talking about real time or any of that sort of stuff. I'm actually talking about the DVDs. They've had a hand in that, so it can show you where they would possibly go, and it's not particularly good.
Right. Okay.
Again, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it right.
Like we said, it's so hard to access it.
I don't understand why they don't. They went out the way to make Class and Torchwood. Why the hell didn't they go out the way to make the Romana TV show or the Paul TV show?
The animation question keeps turning up, Charlotte. That's something that a lot of people gravitate towards, that because you see, as JT's just been sort of alluding to as well, the stuff that Big Finish are involved with because they're involved to some extent as well with the Patrick Troughton stuff, turning that into animation. And so people are saying, well, if you can do that, if you can put animation to Lost Stories, then it'd be no real difference to put animation to Big Finish audio either. And that is true. But I'm not sure whether the appeal.
Who would buy it?
I would want that.
I think that I'm not sure I would either. But there seem to be people who do ask the question quite regularly. We've got talking about asking questions. I asked problem being how he would do it out there. Too many variables with the audio. It says with planes, cars, passers-by, birds. But
that's true.
Simon is right about recording ambient sounds. But how do you get ambient?
Well, let's go back and ask the people that used to work for the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, because they did a fantastic job of it while they were around. You could always rely on them to come up with some. And if anybody's got the Doctor Who sound effects albums, and as we're talking about albums from the past, there's some classic alien sounds on there. He used to play in the exhibitions as well. He used to go in.
It's all to do with the mix as well. If you mix it well, and you can actually make it sound like they're not in a broom cupboard. Plus, when they have Eric Roberts on, he's probably recording in LA somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So and his voice is being projected.
Eric records. In fact, even before the pandemic, Eric Roberts was recording in his own home. They all do it now, but Eric was doing that originally in his own home.
Yeah, I realise that I'm asking a lot, and I realise it's not going to happen, and I realise I'm being completely unreasonable with what I'm saying, and clearly Big Finish cannot do it. But to me, that's where I get this block with Big Finish, that it stops. I can't get through the fact that it sounds like basically a radio drama, and I can just see them. I can see them all standing around the mics with their script in front of them, not just reading. And I
kind of think that's some part of the fun, just like with watching TV.
No, it's not.
But they don't.
I think it depends on who you are and how you receive it.
They don't do it like that, Si.
Dan, I completely agree with you, Dan. I suspend my disbelief. I never actually saw any kind of difference or change of it. I really suspended my disbelief. Shut up, Ian.
You bloody tell him. You tell him.
I never actually saw it. Actually, when Simon and Ian actually brought it up, I was like, oh yeah. It did sound a little bit like.
This is what Simon's brilliant at. This is because when we record, he does it to me all the time. No, I think I know what my take's going to be, and then Simon says something, and I think, oh yeah,
Simon speaks the truth.
I'm sorry.
I do it on that podcast that we talk about Out of Time. I do it on that. He gets me totally out of my blind spot, and I think, oh God, I can't argue with that.
Do you know the whole thing about it is the whole thing about Big Finish is it's not as big as Doctor Who fans think they are. The public haven't a clue who they are. It's only a small amount of the Doctor Who fandom across the world that buy them. It's not that relevant. If you like them, you like them. If you don't want to buy them or you can't afford to invest in them, it's absolutely fine because it's just a small amount of the fan base. What gets me about it is, Doctor Who magazine, for example, turned into one big showcase for Big Finish, and it was really annoying to read about 4, 5, 6 different pages of stuff I wasn't going to purchase. When I wanted to.
Yeah, that's because they can't talk about the show.
That's right.
They pay to do it.
Charlotte's correct.
I said this to Dan in the Facebook group on the latest cover, and then I was with the collectibles cover, because we all sort of joked, oh look, they put Jodie on the front, they must have been lucky. But I said no, it's sadder because she's a little circle. She's the current Doctor. She's our current Doctor, and she's a little circle next to. Well, you know what I mean. She's the television Doctor we've got right now, and she's playing second fiddle to all the male past Doctors.
Exactly, and that really hammers it home. It's the equivalent of when you used to watch the animation, the Hanna-Barbera animation. It would say Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo in the corner.
Scrappy-Doo!
She is.
Is that what you're saying, Dan?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, I'm not liking it to nothing about dogs or anything like that. Please don't take it the wrong way. Meanwhile,
can of worms open.
I'm glad you've came by after all, Simon, because I know you've had a busy day. Because there's something that I was holding back to show you here. Because Matt Pott here, hello Matt, he was on one of our shows the other day. Great to see.
Yeah,
great. Meanwhile, on Planet Skaro, Matt says, and that's reminded me. I saw these the other day. Now, there's been several injustices in the worlds of Doctor Who over the decades, but I think the greatest one of them all, until recently anyway, the greatest one of them all is the fact that Tom Baker never got a Radio Times cover. Can you believe this, Ian? The great Tom Baker never got
the BBC.
Never got a Radio Times cover. But somebody has stepped into the breach and created, behold everybody, a thing of beauty.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And actually, those two costumes are my favourite costume from Tom and from Romana. I love those costumes.
Aren't they adorable? Hands up or be exterminated. And the expression on both their faces there, it sums up that time. Of course, that is the planet Skaro. It is the planet Skaro. Nowhere else. No place. Planet Skaro. I've suspended my disbelief, Barney.
Exactly. Yes. What you got to do with this show?
Marvellous thing. But the only problem is, Simon, I've got no idea who's done these. And when I say these, yes, there is another one. There's no, not that one. There's this one too.
Mary Tan, man. She was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
She was fantastic.
I think so.
Why did he never get a Radio Times cover? It is unforgivable. how he was
Because
cheated
the
out.
BBC doesn't like Doctor Who. I keep saying this. It's obvious. Absolutely obvious.
If anybody knows who's produced these, genuinely, I've got no idea who's made them, and I'd really like to know. I'd put a credit on the thing, but yeah. So if you're out there watching and this is your work, mwah, thank you. Let us know who you are, and we'll give you the credit, and we'll show you some love. Chris Lawley, Tom Baker was wonderful. No arguments here. No arguments at all. Yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff. Yes, back on the the planet of the Daleks. There, that brings me to Daleks. It's been a week.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
I'm going. That's me done. Thank you.
It's been a week for Daleks, and yes.
No.
Who's doing that? Who is
Not
that?
me. Not me.
It's
Rosie. That's who it is.
Rosie again, yeah. Because yes, we have this launched this week. Although it does bear the banner of which one? Oh, that's a Product Enterprises one, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I've got one. In fact, I've got two of those. Oh, look at that Imperial one.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yes, this week this has dropped, and I thought it'd be fun for on these afternoon shows for us to have a casual. And remember fun, Chris, Matt, Jodie. Remember fun? Yes, I thought it'd be fun for us to talk about this. This week, Daleks, the latest Doctor Who spin-off, official Doctor Who spin-off that you can watch, Ian. You can actually watch this one.
Sadly, you can watch it, apparently.
Be careful what you wish for, my friend. Yes, this is Daleks. This is the brand new Doctor Who spin-off that's premiered on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel this week, written by James Goss. And this was episode 1. And the blurb says the Dalek Empire comes up against a terrible force. The Daleks plundering of the planet. They're plundering of the archive of Islos, unearth something ancient and deadly. Soon, Skaro is under attack, and the Dalek Emperor is on the run. Can the Daleks defeat their adversaries and regain their planet with the help of an old enemy? Or will this be the end of the Daleks? That's the blurb. Now, I don't like to be too cynical about these things, I have to be honest. I thought this was regardless of the Time Lord Victorious thing, I think a Dalek animation has been crying out to be made officially for some time. Numerous fans have done amazing work with this brand and these characters, and the BBC have been customarily slow on the uptake. But this is a 5-part series, a mini-series that's got the Dalek Emperor front and centre, or a new version of the Dalek Emperor. Here he is. And yes, this is sort of a hybrid of the Russell T Davies era Daleks and the Dalek Emperor that we're used to seeing in Century 21, as Stephen was mentioning earlier on. So yes, I thought it'd be fun to talk about this. But it's tumbleweeds. Yes, I'll start. I watched this.
That's what I thought of this.
It was awful.
I like the strategist. I think that was quite cool. Having a strategist and an executioner Dalek, that was interesting.
I've seen fans do better Dalek films than this. It's ridiculous. The BBC should be shot, all of them.
It's just the quality. It's the quality of the animation.
Yes, terrible.
Well, the voice acting as well. If you want to speak about voice acting as if they're in a studio reading off a page, they're not called archivists. This was annoying me. That they're called, what are they called? Archivians or something?
Something like that.
I kept saying like that. Really annoyed me. It's like actually, it's archivist. Actually. And and the main woman and whoever was reading the main archivist, I don't know if there was something wrong with the sound of the recording, but it just sounded really like muffled and very sort of dead. And I was like, it's kind of a bit distracting here. So that was my main sort of takeaway from that.
So do you feel, Barnaby, that obviously we've got a cast here of all raging, what would you call it? The robotic creatures, for all intents and purposes, that speak in this monotone way. An entire cast made up of those, pitting them against other robotic creatures. As a voice artist, listening to that consistently for the best part of quarter of an hour, was this always an uphill fight for any voice artist?
I'd say one thing. Nicholas Briggs did his darndest to do different Daleks and different things. The strategist and the executioner both sounded different. I was actually more interested in them than actually the story that was going on. I like the fact they brought in one of the old Skaro Daleks as well. I like that, and it was all rusted and things. That was good. And so, I mean, Nicholas Briggs is an amazing voice actor, and I love everything he's in. And he's doing his darndest to make these. I mean, mostly the Daleks have most of the time sounded the same. I mean, even in the old series, they sounded different. Some Daleks sound different. And he's doing that. So yeah, it was his voice acting was good, but yeah, there was just something off about the main. I'm just going to call them archivists because I don't know what their actual name is called. It's a silly name, and yeah, there was just something off about that, and I just couldn't even like hear her. I don't know if she was like maybe she was recording in her cupboard or something like that.
I think that was when the part got interesting, when the strategist came into it. And I don't dislike the characters of the archivists or whatever they are. I think it's quite an interesting idea in principle. I think it would have been probably better if they were humanoid. We've got a quote here from Nicholas Briggs: "The latest fantastic thrill-packed venture into the world of animation sees the Daleks as the star of the show. For me, it's been a marvelous challenge, as usual, playing every single Dalek in action, but with the added excitement of playing some beautifully written leading Dalek characters. I can't wait to see the finished production." So obviously he would have recorded his elements a while before the. Now the soundtrack, in 13-minute chunks, this did keep my attention. I was invested in this, and I kind of enjoyed it. But these projects like this, JT, they're always going to be judged on their animation, aren't they? On the quality of the animation that you feast your eyes on.
Right. Firstly, Dan, I'd like to say thank you very much for reminding me that this thing had actually arrived, because I'd forgotten. And I think that shows an awful lot of where I am when it comes to the whole Doctor Who thing. I haven't retained this information to say that this thing had arrived wherever it was on YouTube. And I'd like to know if any other Spacebookers are out there. Am I the only one? If you're not, please let me know. Are you invested in this? Have you remembered this sort of stuff? You know, I watched it this morning because Dan posted that and reminded me. And all I can say is, what a missed opportunity. What a missed opportunity. Again. And I'm bemused because I got bored. And I was like, I don't like the fact that I've come into this, and there's obviously a backstory that I'm not aware of, that I'm not going to buy into. And what they have done there is they've assumed that everybody's going to know what the backstory is, and never assume. It's one of the first rules of sale. Never assume. What they missed the opportunity to do is exactly what Star Wars did back in the day, and have a crawl right at the very beginning, say where the story is at, because you could have just thought, you could have read that crawl to say, all right, that's what they're up to. So what is this? Another blooming library, by the way, viewers. Another blooming library. What is this library? What is the relevance to the Daleks? What are the Daleks up to? What time zone am I in? Is the Doctor around? Where is he? What is going? All these. This is what I'm going on.
What are these? Time Lord Victorious.
I think badging it as Time Lord Victorious is potentially a big mistake with this. I think it's.
So it is part of Time Lord Victorious.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But it's that separate from it. It's about 2 or 3 steps removed from the main plot. It doesn't need to be connected. And I think by badging it as this, they're just going to create more confusion. Simon, it was 13 minutes long. How long did you last?
2 minutes. Literally, I'm sorry. 2 minutes. I'm sorry. It near damn killed me. I thought the script was just atrocious. I thought the animation was excruciating. I literally can't believe the BBC would put something out with their name on it, with animation that is literally about 30 years out. Literally about 30 years out of date. You know, the Smarties advert from the 80s was better than this. Anybody remember?
I was going to ask that.
I'll tell you what, right? If we were in a court of law, I could literally demolish the BBC if they were against me about them not caring about Doctor Who. There's so much proof around that they don't give a shit about Doctor Who, and this is just one of them. The animation was absolute bollocks, right? The story was rubbish, right? It was really, really bad. It's one of the best-selling shows of the BBC, yet they can't throw what they've thrown at this. 10 pence to make this? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Is the animation supposed to be retro? Because it reminded me of those late 80s, early 90s video.
Yeah, like Reboot or something like that, or Beast Wars, very 90s animation, I
mean, as we've alluded to, I've seen better Dalek stories out there done by fans like Lee and what have you. They're good and I was more engaged with that. And actually, although they are very based in a lot of the continuity, that excited me more than this one did. So I again, Simon, I'm like you. I was confused. I thought, oh, is this part of the Time Lord Victoria stuff, which I'm not going to get involved in because it's nonsense, or is this a Dalek series? And if it's a Dalek series, it should have been marketed as pure Dalek series. I'm a bit confused. I won't be going back. Let's put it that way. I'll probably forget about it, to be very honest. But I won't be going back to watch it again because I've got better things to do in my life. Thank you.
Charlotte, what did you think? Have you watched it all?
No, because I saw the stuff they released before, and I was just like, what is this? Like, this is, I'm with Ian in this regard. Like, why is it when the BBC do something, they do it like half, I won't say the other half. Like they don't put their all into it, half measure. Then don't do it. Like, if you're not gonna do it right, if you're gonna do cheaper animation that I saw, and I was just, and of course, I'm sorry, that Dalek Emperor, like, what? Why? He looks like he's been pumped up with a bicycle pump. The head. And I was just, I understand that's based off something.
Charlotte, do you know, it's really interesting.
Not knowing what it's based off, just seeing it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Like, what is
Charlotte, because
reboot. Yeah.
The BBC have always done that. They've always gone halfway, and that goes right back years and years and years. They've always gone halfway to something. They've never actually really pushed the boat out. Yeah, and really, and it's generally because of, as many of us have said before, especially for enterprises worldwide now, studios, they don't understand Doctor Who. They don't understand science fiction. They never have. Even through the years, the wilderness years.
Yeah, but this is what
they just didn't get it.
This is what I don't understand. Like, Time Lord Victoria screams to me of, this is your alternative Who because you're not engaging with the show.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's what Time Lord Victoria screams to me of. So if this is your alternative because you want to make money, then why do it like this?
Yeah,
it's a shame. It is a shame.
Like, you're losing with the show. You know you're losing. Why
I think that,
do
my friend,
why not do like a lot of money to do animated at the beginning? Like, do an animated prologue with a lot of money chucked into it to introduce this Time Lord Victoria stuff, and then add all the stuff.
Yeah.
Why do this like bit at the end that nobody cares about and just seem to randomly be announced one day?
It does feel like an afterthought. And the rabbi, Spielberg, and he's been saying for a while how what they should have probably done with this entire campaign was have something on the TV or on the YouTube channel, a bespoke production, half an hour, 45 minutes. Do you remember those animated things that they did back in the David Tennant era? Those 2 animations, things like that work just as well. Ideally, something live action, but an animation would have been fine. But I think the problem, and they may have considered it, because this, when you put it all together, 5 episodes, it'll be the best part of an hour, slightly over an hour. But nobody's going to sit and watch this of this quality for an hour.
What's annoying?
Let's put this on screen for a moment, because this is another thing. And when you were talking about the effects, and somebody mentioned reboot.
Yeah,
Reboot,
everybody mentioned Reboot.
all those shows from the 90s. And for me, it's all those things. But it also reminds me of when you go to a DVD and you put on the special features and they show you sort of animatics of what a final thing
that's what it was
kind of going to look like.
Yes,
it's a look like this, but better. That's what this reminded me of.
But Dan, right? You know that you can buy a package. You can buy a package of effects, right, from anywhere, any website of explosions and things blowing up and stuff like that.
Yeah,
did you see the explosions in this video? They were awful. Why didn't they just go and buy a catalog of explosions and put that in the scene? Why did they? The whole thing was like it was just rendered out so it could be rendered out better. Do you know what I mean?
There was an animation error. One of the explosions, actually, there's one bit where those archivists are ahead, and there's an explosion from outside, and somehow it like clipped inside of the
reboot.
Like the sort of thing happened in Reboot where I noticed these things. It's really weird.
Well, that's why I was asking if this was retro, because those explosions are square.
Yeah, they're square.
They're polygons.
I'm an expert in this, so I saw that, and I just it took me back to some game from years ago that I saw.
There's a reason for this, folks. It's cheap. It's really cheap animation. It looks cheap. It plays cheap. And I don't know who they're pitching that at, because if they're pitching it at a sort of an older audience, they're not going to be convinced. If they're pitching it at kids are literally going to just laugh this off the screen because it's so atrocious. It's literally I've seen better fan made.
Yes,
animation
absolutely.
And so why the BBC would put their name on it, literally,
because they're desperate.
In fact,
nobody's watching their shows. Nobody's watching the shows.
Like we've already said, they don't really care. So I'm not sure why they would be bothered to put something out that
actually, to be honest, the Julian Vince films that were supposed to be happening in the 80s would have been better.
That would have been wonderful. He never got around to doing them, did he? I think we saw some test footage, and that's
right. We saw some pictures and stuff, and the Daleks look stunning based on the Cushing Dalek.
I mean, on YouTube, there are CGI renditions of the Dalek.
Yes, there are. Yeah, much better.
And those are great. They're better than these.
Yeah.
It's a shame that this lot actually who produced this didn't actually look at their circle, of which there are people there that are producing some of the fan CGI that's around there, and just pay to do it.
I don't understand that. You're right, absolutely right. I mean,
who has made them? Who has worked on it?
It's in-house at the BBC. I think that
exactly.
Take a good look at the credits, but the only thing I saw was BBC Studios. I didn't see any independent producers.
The one thing that the Moff did was that when he saw that fan-made opening credits from Doctor Who, he literally went to the guy that created it and said, "Right, I really love it so much. Let's try and incorporate that into the Peter Capaldi thing." And this is what they should do. They should be looking on YouTube going, you know what, that's great. Let's talk to that fella, because he'll be cheaper than if we hire in-house stuff for the people to do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just common sense. It's really common sense.
As much as I didn't like the animation, and I think this is going to be a struggle to watch. You know, it's not eye candy, is it? I think the story was okay. I like the idea. The idea that the Daleks are trying to get some sort of advancement by stealing information and technology and getting lock, stock, and barrel the contents of that archive to gain an advance in whatever war they're fighting now. How the mechanoids are going to come into it, I've got no idea. Well, they drizzle it around because the dialogue. I mean, what Barnaby was saying about the characterization of the strategist is right. But I think that some of the characters, that it was also unappealing. Do you remember that first few episodes of Star Trek Discovery, where everybody was talking in Klingon for about 20 minutes? Yeah. It's like that.
Yes. Sadly, I remember that. Yeah.
You can't tune in. You can't tune into the wavelength. I'm going to continue watching it, whether you guys are or not. I'm going to continue watching it. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of this in the comments section. Let us know what you think of Daleks generally. Is this the worst, Charlotte? Is this the worst the Daleks have ever looked in this animation?
I think animation,
Or is it this?
Oh, God. Now I'm comparing to Chibnall, and that's another level of bad. So it's like, which one do I go for? Because do I either have feminine Dalek who looks like I could kick it over even if I was a bit drunk, or do I go for animation that they look terrible? Which one?
Please don't bring it up again, Dan. Please don't.
Yeah, we've seen it enough.
Yes, well, there is slightly better news for Dalek fans. Every year around this time of the year, they do put out a new kind of coffee table book with the Doctor Who brand. And I do try and keep up to date with them, and I enjoy a great deal of them. Yeah, it's Christmas books, toilet books, whatever you want to call them. And this is the new one. It's out very soon. This new coffee table book. I think you need a bigger coffee table for this one. Check this out. This is the cover to Dalek Mark III travel machine. Yes, that's right. Combat training manual. They did one about the TARDIS last year. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. The Type 40 manual. Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether they bothered last year, but this is the brand new one, and it looks beautifully designed and sumptuous.
Listen, can I just say to anybody, and this includes your Big Finish covers, stop judging things by the blooming cover. Wait till you see the content, because it might be absolute nonsense.
It's a reasonable comment. What do you think, Barnaby?
I would. I mean, I've got the Dalek Survivor manual upstairs. I don't know if anyone ever owned that.
The little black one.
The little black one, yeah. I love that thing.
I've got
That was
that.
great, that one. But they're also releasing, which I was really excited. They're releasing all the old Dalek 60s comics in like annual form or something like that. Is that out already? Does anyone know?
No.
It's out.
Is that
The
right?
award is already sold
I've got
out.
a
It's has
picture.
sold out.
Oh, is
Wow.
it sold out?
You are talking about this, aren't you? This went up.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
was released last Thursday. Now, I don't know if anybody watching this, Ian O'Brien, I know you're having massive trouble getting hold of this, but it is out there. I understand there's limited copies of it all over the country. And yes, it's as Barnaby was describing, what they've done is they've put all 104, is it, guys? 104 installments of that 1960s comic strip into a new compendium edition, a bookazine, no less. And they've done this before. Of course, they did do it in the mid-90s. But this time, they've managed to source a majority of the original artwork from all those independent, private collectors, who bought them over the years. So they've got the original artwork, they've remastered it, and it looks absolutely beautiful inside. Now, I don't know if it's the same as with the action figures. There are problems in some parts of the country getting hold of these. This is taken from Type 40's Instagram and Twitter feed, stuff being shared on their Instagram and Twitter and Facebook most days. I managed to get hold of both of those the other day. So yes, it is out there, and it is a beautiful edition. I do recommend it. $9.99. But there are people out there buying 2 or 3 and putting them on eBay, which
Why?
So
to make
get more money.
Oh,
More
scalpers,
money.
yeah.
So some of them 35 to 50 quid they've been seen for. Some people have no conscience, do they, Simon?
Absolutely. No, and I think that the idea is that theoretically they seem to be in supermarkets. Tesco's, the number of people I know who picked it up in Tesco's, bizarrely, and Sainsbury's, but they are very, very thin and few and far between. And certainly on the Panini website, they sold out.
What was that?
They even took it off in that they stopped pre-orders coming in about 2 or 3 days before it was released. They are drip feeding a few out there. There were literally a handful of issues apparently came available yesterday on the Panini web shop, and again sold out within seconds.
Do you know what we should do? We should actually say, congratulations, Panini. You've got a hit for once.
Absolutely.
For a long time, you haven't had a hit. This might just get you through another year. Well
but
done.
This should tell them what people want. Surely this should tell Panini and the BBC what it is that people want.
BBC's not listening in, for God's sakes. You know
Panini,
that.
No, I think
Panini's
the
last-
BBC understand because I want to ask you guys as more classic fans, do you not think they're sort of over egging nostalgia right now, and it's going to eventually just
Because there's nothing left. That's why.
They have to, Charlotte.
right,
The reason being is that they said to our age group, thank you for being with us since the 70s.
Goodbye.
Off.
Yeah.
And now they're realizing that we've actually got the disposable income to actually invest in the stuff. And, that's why they're trying to do it now. And they're trying to milk that. I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't label myself a classic fan. I would just say I'm a fan of Doctor Who. But my limit and my patience goes up to a certain time, i.e. 2017. And as I've said before, I was actually getting wary before that because Moffat was boring my tits off. But, it's a real case there. I don't watch anything or count anything after 2017, as everybody knows. But that's what harmed them. They harmed themselves. They're now trying to get us back. I feel sorry for the franchises, for the businesses that have taken those licenses because they've been and we've seen what's happened with Doctor Who magazine. It took the Daleks, this book, which, as Dan says, was released in the 90s. It's I actually love I actually prefer the original version. There's something about it that I really quite like.
It's got that lovely logo on it.
Oh,
it's just beautiful wraparound cover, isn't it, by the original artist Rod Turner, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, it's great that they've brought this new version out and they've cleaned it up, and it's got a stunning artwork cover, beautiful.
Yes, this is Mike Collins. Full credit to Mike Collins, a storyboard artist, comic book artist, fantastic guy.
It's an exciting thing. It really is gorgeous cover.
It really does capture the spirit of the TV Century 21s, but brings it up to date as well. I agree, JT. It's got
what's really interesting with all of this is we've just talked about this the Dalek CGI animation that nobody is actually interested in, and people aren't really following desperately, it seems to me. And yet, literally, the internet has gone into a frenzy over this reprint from the 1960s. Yeah. So really, that the writing is on the wall. That says exactly where people's interests lie at the moment.
Absolutely.
Well, I've always said that we are, even in when Chris came back, I was always preaching, look, we are the audience, us people that are this age. Yes, there was new people coming in liking Doctor Who around about that time, but ultimately it was us they had to please. It was always going to be us because we're not dead yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
The last time.
Very true. Do you know what I would do with this as well? Because they are churning out in a Peter Haining style these things every year. The TARDIS handbook, which was a flop, by the way. And I do believe, British people, it's coming into the works. Don't hold me on that, but if you can and it's safe, go and look in the works in the run up to Christmas and thereafter. Because I believe there's certain Doctor Who books going in there. I hear it on the rumour mill. But instead of churning out this sort of stuff, that thing, what I would do next year is I would take that Dalek and turn it into a big, glossy, hardback coffee table book and flog it again for 25 quid. I'd have it.
So would I. So
You
would
know,
I.
with special features in it as well. Lovely.
I was surprised that they didn't make more of it. I expected it to be some sort of hardback or slightly bigger because I don't these bookazines. I know they did okay for a little while, but I think they're a bit low rent. But I think this is still something nice. I think, and I suppose I can see why people may buy two. One that they can sort of batter up a little bit and read the cover off. But the last time, Simon, I don't know if you remember this. The last time Panini had a hit like this, Charlotte's absolutely right, was last year, because we did a podcast about it when they put out that Target book special. And that had exactly the same. That sold like hotcakes. People couldn't find them. They had to go and reprint it. Once a year, considering that they put out the magazine 13 times a year, and probably, I think, 3 bookazines. They used to do a couple of specials. Those that haven't been so much this year, obviously, but generally, one hit a year, one buzz per year is not great. I don't know where this is going to end for Panini and the Doctor Who magazine brand.
Yes, you do.
Personally,
yes, you do.
Personally, it could end with them going digital only, but potentially, I would like to see them now lean into this hard. People are snapping this up. I would reprint all the TV comic countdown, TV action, all of that in bookazine editions, or do what JT said, even better. I would, I'd be there. I'd be pre-ordering. I'd love a collection of those, ideally in hardback, on my shelf, all remastered, things of beauty, and then go back and do the comics. Every Doctor Who comic ever. Go back to. I'd even.
But they're doing that, aren't they? Right now, they're reprinting comics in the magazine because seriously, they don't want Jodie comics anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is, nobody wants to buy the magazine, so don't do it in the magazine. I mean, they did do. They started to do a series of paperback graphic novels. Now, again, as a fan, I bought most of them until I thought, oh right, I'm done. I've got them all in magazine form since 1979. Why am I buying them again? Slap myself around that. But you know what? I still think what they could do. A lot of you won't know the Doctor Who Weekly and Doctor Who Monthly magazine strips, the longest running magazine of a continual character in the world. And they are so creative. They are exciting. They're illustrated beautifully for 98% of the run. What they could do for Panini is, again, hardback coffee table books of the Tom Baker Doctor, which introduces things like Sharon, Platt Castle.
I already own JT. I own the Iron Legion about 5 times, and I would buy it again. I love
the Iron Legion.
It started with the Iron Legion, and you went with City of the Damned, and you went through, and you had the Sharon Adventures, the K9 Adventures, and you went right through to the very final one, which I think remind me of the Neutron Knights. That's the Tom Baker Doctor comic strip. A beautiful graphic novel. Don't colour it, please, because colouring tends to ruin it. Print it as it. Then do the Davison ones, the Tides of Time onwards. With a companion called. With a companion in there, and then do the Baker ones with the Voyager series and all this.
I wanted to ask Barnaby. Are you a comics guy, Barnaby? You mentioned this title. You've been trying to get hold of it. I hope you're able to find one. But are you a comics guy generally? Have you read many Doctor Who comics?
A few of them, yeah. I've got quite a few of the recolored annual ones from the comics with Frobisher and all those kind of ones. There, I mean, it's one of the reasons I love Big Finish, because they bring back people like Frobisher. I mean, only once, but still love it. And I quite like the recolored ones, because I had one of the black and white ones. I think it was the Voyager one in black and white, and it was all right, but it was quite nice to see it colorized.
That's probably
when they colorized the Iron Legion, that looked fantastic. Many years ago now, when the Iron Legion was colored originally for America, but then they did it properly in Britain.
Oh, he
It's
stopped.
been, yeah, oh, he's blipped.
Right.
It's been done 2 or 3 times. He'll be back in a moment. Oh, he's
There
back
he
on.
is.
He's back. You're back, Simon. You blipped for a minute there.
Yeah, you froze. You were like that.
Oh, I think he's frozen.
He's
Oh,
He's
frozen.
frozen. He's frozen.
The difference with the recoloring is, I understand this there, but when
he's back now.
when you've grown up, when you've seen that original black and white beautiful artwork, and because it was only in inked, they had to bring out more of the detail. A Time Witch, for example, which is one of the Fourth Doctor earlier stuff. That's an amazing thing. I think if that, in fact, I've seen the coloured version in the American versions of it. For me, it didn't work as much. It wasn't as glossy in the colour because you've got these purple. She was never dressed in purple in my head. The Time Witch.
It's been done 2 or 3 times over, and Matt Pott here says Charlie Kirkhoff, who's a celebrity comics creative, did the colouring in the newer ones. I've seen 2 or 3 different versions, and some are more sensitive than others. Like I say, different editions of it that I've got. But I think those Dalek strips. Yes, savor them, and in fact, I'd turn 1 or 2 pages of them, and probably Mike Collins' cover. I'd probably buy that in a poster. Come to think of it, I'd certainly like some of the original artwork on my wall. But that is merely a dream, Simon. I can only imagine those things. I will probably jump on that. What you're saying about the coffee table books, JT? I mean, there is an interior spread from that new Daleks one here. Beautifully put together.
Oh, please, no! Just
we've got
we've
got a digital version of Skaro there in the middle, and lots of different things from each story. So that's how I like my coffee table books. And obviously, Now we're talking about the comic strips. I would sort of
rip that page out for that book. Rip that page out.
Ian, that's what worries me as a fan about any books going forward. Now I'm going to have to. I probably will not buy it because there's going to always be this horrible period.
Stupid logo
sends a shiver up and down your spine.
The logo will change at some point. We know
it
that
will. Hope. Yeah.
But
they'll have to change it.
Yeah, every history book.
It's got too much bad association.
Do you know what they should have done instead of that Doctor Who crappy cartoon animation thing? They should have literally shot something with a human in it and have one Dalek be like for instance, 2 people are trapped in this area and a Dalek is there to kill them. They could have done something like that. 5 episodes doesn't cost them much. Do you know
I'm not sure they can animate
actors.
I'm not sure they can animate a human face because
no. I'm just saying
all the humans in it all have masks. Oh, for real? Yeah, they did a real one.
No, for real, for real. 2 actors, 2 actors and 1 Dalek. Trapped. They're trapped, and the Dalek's trying to kill them. They could have done 3 episodes of that instead of spending money on that crap. They could have done that. It's so simple to do.
I don't think they spent much money on that crap, to be perfectly honest.
You know what? There are actors that will do that for nothing. I'm telling you.
Absolutely, there are loads of them.
Before we close up shop, firstly I want to say thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for thanks for sticking with us and for all the comments. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel and share. Tell everybody about all the Type 40 Live Doctor Who talk we're doing. There'll be another show next week. More on that later. If you keep watching the social media, got something I'm cooking up for that. Should be a little more unique. Probably not the monster show we did last week, but you should like it. You can watch all the other shows. They're on the playlist on the channel at the moment. I did want to show you guys this. I flashed it up earlier on. No, it's okay. It's not that. It's this. It's this. It's some unpublished Peter Capaldi artwork to tie in to his later era. There we see him in the lovely roundels, the classic style roundels there, and him striking a classic Doctor's pose.
Looks like John there, doesn't he?
Alex
like
Ronald.
Yeah.
I think he does. Yeah, I think it's the Velvet. And that, believe it or not, Titan never used that cover, so he's tweeted that out himself for us to see, which I thought was very generous. Unseen Doctor Who artwork, and unseen Doctor Who accessories. I also saw this image. I'd never seen this before, and now I want one of these too. Patrick Troughton.
Excellent.
Only Troughton could pull that off. Only Troughton.
Now we know. I'd love to know which football team he was a supporter of, but now we know what colour Patrick Troughton's bobble hat was on Fury from the Deep. Was that, Simon?
Yeah, that's Fury from the Deep, absolutely. So this isn't recolorized. This is a genuine color photo, is it?
I believe it's a genuine.
It's amazing. As I said the other week, it's stunning that these things cropping up. It's lovely to see, and look how happy he looks there. Yeah. Considering what's going on behind the scenes, that's fantastic.
It is fantastic to see that. Really,
Thing-
really. And
things
it
like
still
this, you
gives you
can-
hope, doesn't it? When they keep unearthing things like this, it gives you hope that you never know there might be some more episodes to
It
turn
really
up.
does, Si. It
A
really
smile puts a big smile on my face, and
Yeah.
all the cosplayers out there, Barnaby. You know, you could add this to your second Doctor.
That's my next one.
Yeah. You can thank us later. Yeah, I would so rock that with the life jacket. And yeah, I mean, what you were saying there, JT. It's not just the accessorizing, the Doctor's unique way of accessorizing. It is the look on Patrick Troughton's face. He's a fascinating character. And I know some of you were probably lucky enough to meet him at the various conventions, because he did get into conventions, do a lot of them later in life. But for the majority of us, we can just sort of look and wonder what kind of man he actually was, that mercurial, complex man, Patrick Troughton, who led such a colourful life, such a private life.
And now we know why.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, has anybody here ever read Michael Troughton's book on his father while we're here, before we shoot? Anybody got that?
No.
I've got it.
Any good? Is it scandalous, JT?
What a surprise, JT.
Yeah, ask me anything, Ian. I've got a whole library here. Is it scandalous? No, it's his father. It's his father. So no, it's not scandal. It wasn't written for scandal. It was written to be, this is my dad. And you can feel the warmth and you can feel the love. But when you're reading it as a Doctor Who fan, you're okay. An interesting man, Patrick Troughton. Very interesting man.
A lot of people forget he was a brilliant actor. I mean, not only
amazing.
Doctor Who, he did a lot of films, he did a lot of TV shows, and his acting is just, amazing.
He was a
He's
proper
great actor.
character actor. That's what
Yeah.
you don't get these days. And all you have to do is look at the television right now to see you do not get character actors now.
My very, very favourite performance of Troughton is The Omen. He's just
Yes.
absolutely
He's amazing in the Omen.
Brilliant, that. Yeah.
that film, but he's the best thing about it.
He is.
The boy.
Stunning.
Simon, did you ever meet him? Did you ever get to meet him, Si?
Yeah, I did meet him briefly at the first convention he did back in, I think, around about 86, would it have been 87 maybe? And it was a Dross
No, it might have
convention.
been earlier. Do you know, it might have been
It could have been
84,
a little bit
83, 84.
He went to do Longleat. He did Longleat in 83.
Yes, he did, and loved it. Yeah.
So I saw him. I was lucky enough to see his panel back in 83. But then I'm sure, I could be wrong. Somebody will correct me on this. I thought he started doing Dross conventions around about 86, 87, something like that. I certainly remember being at the first convention he did. And it was really odd because actually I happened to be standing in the corridor outside the main hall at the point that he came down from the dressing room dressed in his second Doctor outfit. Bless him.
Yeah. Yeah,
And he came down the stairs to go into the hall. So I was lucky enough to just happen to be there at that moment. And it was really quite telling because he was so nervous. You could tell as he came, it was a bag of nerves before he went on for that first performance. Because, and this is really sweet, because he genuinely didn't think anybody would actually be interested in seeing him. That's why he never did conventions, because he didn't really think that there was much point in it. He didn't think anybody would be interested. And so he was completely blown away by the fact that he was so well received at the convention. And that's why he continued to do more of them then.
Do you know what's interesting, because that exact same story happened with Paul McGann. Paul McGann's first convention was at Panopticon for the, I don't know, what was it? It would have been the 30th, wouldn't it? 93 was that? No, after 96. When was it? 2003. I'm getting all my dates confused, but that was his first convention. And he was a bag of nerves, I believe, from a friend of mine, one of the attendants for him outside. He was a big surprise as well. And Anika Wills was hinting that he was there. And we were all excited at Panopticon in this big thing, oh my God. And India Fisher introduced him, the lovely, gorgeous India Fisher.
Brilliant companion.
She's a lovely actress. She's a lovely lady. I've got a story about India, but I won't tell you now.
Thank you, Charlotte. Just let me say thank you, Charlotte. Hope you've enjoyed that.
Bye, Charlotte. Thank you.
We're going to be wrapping
Thank
up.
you, Tea for me.
Bye-bye.
So and India introduced Paul. Mr. McGann came out onto the stage and there was an eruption. Everybody stood up and we applauded. We were shit, and he was like that. And over the mic, you could hear India saying to Paul, "Told you so."
Oh, really? That's so sweet.
It really was, and that was, of course, when we knew the series was going to come back with Russell and Julie and Phil. And he knew at that point that he was not getting the gig, and he was lovely, and he was telling us all about it, and it was his first appearance. That he was so good after about 15 minutes of us realizing we weren't going to eat him alive. It was just so Pat, that's similar to Chat must have gone through that same sort of stuff. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. But now, of course, they all get paid lots of money, so they're all going to do it these days.
Paul McGann's 60, is he not?
He's 61 the other day.
61,
Lord Goff says he misses classic character actors.
Absolutely.
They're all aging out now. You may have a point. I think there are some fine younger actors, but they seem to be fewer and farther between. Character actors make the best doctors most of the time. 99.999% of great character actors have played the Doctor. I'm late to the party again. Well, better late than never. You can always watch us back afterwards.
I would argue that Matt Smith is one of the last character actors, and certainly one of the few of his generation, because they just don't bother. You just need to look at the current incumbents of the show to see that.
Yes, let's just put never
Disaster area was saying that it was Pertwee got him into doing
conventions.
Pertwee had done them for years and loved doing them. And he was the one that convinced Pat that he would go down well at a convention, and the rest is history.
Oh, it's going to be more. I can feel the warm fuzziness of it all now. I want to go and put on a bow. I've got a bow tie upstairs. It's a clip on one, Ian. I can't.
I've got a clip on one too.
I'm not going to lie to you. I think I might put it on later on. And my bobble hat, and I pretend to be
just before you sign off. I did a thing with Paul McGann a very, very, very long time ago, and I was only running at the time, but I remember hearing him talking about I think it was Doctor Who, and you can tell that he wasn't, as he wasn't, he didn't think anyone would appreciate what he did. He thought he was well past it. Do you know what I mean? And now he's back in the trenches trying to just be an actor. It
happens to all. Look at Chris Eccleston coming back. He's come back because he loves it all.
I remember hearing. I think it was a sound girl on that shoot. I remember hearing her say to him, you were really good as the Doctor, and he was kind of dismissing it. He was going, thank you. And he was like dismissing it. Just a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a few more comments before we go. We've got the reminder here from Vanessa Law of Wendy Padbury discovered Matt Smith. There you go. Yes, she did.
Yeah, it's true. Because when she was being their agent, it's a very small world.
Fabulous story. And an offer here from Olivia Hesby. I don't know.
Olivia.
Is this a friend of yours, Barnaby?
Yes. Yeah, my girlfriend.
Shall we cosplay Doctor Who? Hello, Olivia. Good to have you here.
Is Olivia an actress?
She is, yes.
I could tell.
Very, very
good one. Picture. That's a great shot, Olivia. Congratulations on that.
Come on the show. You can tell us a bit about Barnaby.
Yeah, with Barnaby.
Come on the show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. Before we go, yes, thanks to everybody, sincerely, because these shows are a right laugh. We never know where it's going to go. I try and sort of steer it generally, but it's nice to let it go in a few tangents.
And I always rant.
If you've enjoyed all this nostalgia, next week on Type 40 Live, it's Doctor Who Day 2020, and I've got a few things lined up for that. A few voices that you might not have seen on these shows before, but people connected with Type 40 are probably going to drop by, and the podcast's coming back too. Spin those boxes, gentlemen. Whiz those Daleks, and sonic your screwdrivers. Well, I remind everybody else to like the video, subscribe to the channel, or you may miss some of these pearlers every week.
Who's that?
Warp Drive. That is Omar. And I've forgotten his name. I've forgotten his name again. He was the bloke out of The Mummy, and he's now playing the Admiral. The Admiral on Star Trek Discovery. Yes, if you are watching Discovery, or if you've given up and we're watching it so you don't have to, don't miss Warp Drive every week. Star Trek reviews, Star Trek news, and all manner of things in between in our raw Type 40 style, I suppose you could call it, video live stream. That's on this channel every week. Don't miss that. And there is a regular live stream we started doing on a Saturday tea time, covering everything else, which at the moment is mostly The Mandalorian, but we've also talked about James Bond. We've talked about the DC superhero TV shows, all that sort of thing on the Saturday, the Spacebook stream on Saturday. It's a bit like Tiz was, and a bit like Swap Shop and all those things. but instead of Sally James, you get a load of middle-aged blokes.
That's right.
Apart from that, it's exactly the same. What else is there on the channel? Blake 7, the teleport podcast that's doing so well. Again, thank you. Say thank you to everybody who's downloading and streaming that. It's doing so well. I'm thrilled with it. I'm glad you get where I'm coming from with Blake 7, trying to make it a little bit more fun. Lots of shows coming up in the future. Yes, Blake 7 fandom has been a bit sleepy. I agree. Sleepy no more. Now teleports here. Yes, there's 2 episodes. You can find that on the channel too in an enhanced video form. And yes, our 12 Faces of Doctor Who monster live stream from last week. If you missed it, it's there to view all over again and be amazed at my incredible choices of Delta and the Bannerman. Had everybody positively reeling. Gentlemen, Charlotte, first of all, thank you for joining us, Charlotte. Thanks for coming on. And gentlemen, thanks for joining me for this chat about pretty much everything.
Very good, very good.
Thank
Can
you
I just say as well, can I say happy birthday to my friend Lee, who's 40 today. He's a big Discovery fan. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Boldly go and have a good time. Yes, the pubs are closed, but the offies aren't. Sort yourself out. Do whatever you've got to do, my friend. Yeah, thanks, everybody. And yes, a reminder that if you enjoy all this silliness, you can catch more of it on the Type 40 podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and loads of other places. Since I made up this artwork, we're on about 3 more platforms. Sorry. If you're in the States, we're on Pandora now, which I understand is a big deal. Wow. We don't get Pandora in Europe. Don't know what it is. Apparently, it's a big thing. So, yes, so you can find all our podcasts over there for that. Yes, thanks again for watching, everybody, and thanks for the conversation. I've had a brilliant time. Hope to get you all back on again soon. That includes you, Barnaby, whichever doctor you're going to be next time. You can
a new one.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you guys.
There we
That's what gets it done.